Education 2011. It's a most significant occasion because we have three incredible speakers gathered here today. I'm Peter Kronborg. I'm Strategic Advisor to the conference and have various other roles as well. But more importantly, we have Adrienne Clarke, Stephen Heppell and Brendan Boyle here. And I'll introduce each of them in turn. In the context of this particular conversation, we're going to explore education, but it's education in both the narrow and the broad sense, because it's about the education of not only people, students in schools and universities, but the education of our broader population and how they're using the new learning modems to gain knowledge. So this will be quite a fascinating conversation. We're going to do it by way of having first each of the speakers introduced and then having a 5 to 10 minute dissertation from themselves about some of their current thoughts. And then after we've finished with that, some dialogue between themselves and then dialogue with the audience. So it's very much in the Q&A format. And for that reason, please feel free to make notes about questions you'd like to ask in due course. And when we get to the Q&A part, make it clear to me and I'll seek to endeavour that everyone has a chance to engage in this conversation. It is a deep conversation where we've got now 2 hours and a bit to talk about matters here, so it should be quite fascinating. I'm going to start off today with Professor Stephen Heppell. Stephen is quite an amazing individual who we had on telepresence at the conference last year. He zoomed in by the video and he got such a response from the audience we couldn't resist having the opportunity for him to speak with us today. I think, as you know in your program, Stephen has an amazing background in education and has been an advisor to schools and school systems in the UK, Europe, Australia and various other parts of the world. He was the founder of Teachers TV, a UK public service TV program, obviously developed and directed towards teachers, and also on the advisory board of Educarius Partners, and it has also advised the governments in the Middle East, including Dubai. He's a frequent commentator on the press and has been reported if he'd ever chosen to commercialise all his knowledge, he would be a wealthy man and owning this hotel. But he's chosen to devote so much of his time to public good that he's richer beyond all of those dreams. So don't touch him for a loan. I think that one of the indicators of the quirkiness of this man is also that he lives on a yacht. And I'd love to live on a yacht in the Whitsundays. He lives on a yacht in the Thames, moored at the base of the Tower Bridge, but only for the winter, I understand. During the summer, Stephen races the 104-year-old historic yacht. So, Stephen, we'd be interested in your thoughts that you've been bringing together for this particular dialogue.
I was just reflecting on how wretched that quote was from the Financial Times, that I could have been wealthy but wasn't. My children bring it up every Christmas. Come on, Dad, you know. It's not too late.
For us.
Well, I have 3 children, 2 of them in teaching. One I think will be, you know, so what can I say? Listen, it's really nice to have this chance to chat, and so many friends and familiar faces, which is even nicer, really. I thought, I was just thinking now what I'd kick off with, and I think a string of little bits and pieces first of all, really. I was just talking to Edward de Bono last night, just had coffee again, and I first saw him when I was an undergraduate, so, which for me was in the college 69, 72, my first degree. So I'm proper old, you know. And he came along as an undergraduate, and the year he came, my wife, who was also a student at that time, was given a day off in her faculty, because somebody in the year above her had produced the most stunning finals paper. And the professors were running down the corridor, in as much as professors could run, running down the corridor, waving this essay, saying, I'd never expected this cracking document, And actually the literature was full then of people putting in the most playful responses to traditional exams, sort of one-word answer to a philosophy paper. I just reflected on where we are now, some years later, and I think to get a first-class honours degree now, you would have to produce the least surprising paper. There would be a mark scheme, there'd be a set of anticipated, and the least exciting, the least surprising, the most uniform, the most predictable paper would get the first-class honours, and probably that student that produced a stunning piece of work, I very much doubt if they'd make it to the third year, and if they did, they wouldn't pass. So people talk about education not being able to change very quickly. I think far from it. I think it's in a 50-year period, probably the second half of the last century, it changed beyond all recognition. It went from being a place of exploration and imagination and creativity and originality and scholarship and passion and joy to being very much a factory system. I know in Britain in the 1970s we opened a new school every day for over a 3-year period. Every single day a new school was built somewhere, which is pretty, it's pretty hard at that point to open places with a sort of the sense of community and belonging and membership. So I just wanted to signal at the start that we seem to be in education now a long way from learning, and learning I think matters hugely in all this. I do write in the press quite a lot of. Local media seems to latched onto the fact that I like kids to learn without their shoes on. So that's been running around all the newspapers in Australia lately. But I wrote a piece in the Times Higher Ed supplement in England, where I reflected, I thought rather wittily, on the fact that our university sector was like our motorcycle industry had been in the 50s. Sort of blindly heading for the rocks. Somewhere over there, there was a sort of revving and a better product, and they just didn't see that, and we're in all sorts of trouble. I ended up with the words I thought were rather clever. I said, the university sector in Britain is a triumph, which I thought was fun. And I met a vice-chancellor afterwards who said, I see when you got to the end of your piece, you recanted, No, you missed the whole thing.